Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is another in my practice session series for the Red Hat EX374 exam, Red Hat Certified Specialist in Developing Automation with Ansible Automation Platform. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell when you do, so you can be notified of when new content is available. And if you enjoy the video, make sure you click like. Another reminder is that these are my practice sessions for the exam. It's my opportunity to go through whatever the objective is and either talk about it or do some examples of it as a self-assessment. I am just over 2 weeks away from my exam, and this gives me an opportunity to see if I feel confident, and if I don't, then I still have a couple of weeks to fill in some knowledge gaps. These are not intended to be tutorials, nor are they intended to be training materials, but I do try to have the information accurate. So continuing in the Manage Task Execution section, we're looking at the Run Selected Tasks from a Playbook, and this is talking about tags. And for this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to use the Ansible Automation Platform to do the execution of stuff and take an opportunity to practice configuring a few things with that. So what I'm going to do is we'll go into, because I'm trying to think, are there objectives about setting up Automation Hub? I guess so. Manage inventories and credentials. Well, I'll do it a second time when I have another video. But anyway, for this, actually, I want to go into my controller, not my private automation hub. So I'm going to log in as my administrative user. You know, in a real production environment, you probably wouldn't be logging in as this user. You would have your own user account with the appropriate privileges for you. So I'm going to start by setting up a couple of credentials. Because my project is going to be pulling from GitLab, I'm going to make a credential, tag AAP Git, and this is going to be for source control, and I am using SSH for this. And you can either type in your SSH information, or in my case, I am going to upload the private key that I have configured to use for GitLab. There's no passphrase with it. Probably should do that in a production environment, but for this, no. So we'll be using that in just a minute. I'm also going to make a machine credential. So we're going to call it tag machine. Yes, organization, I could technically say, I only have one, so default. This will be a machine credential, which is what's used to authenticate to your machines. On all of my managed nodes, I have set up a user called Ansible, and I have set up key-based authentication for that using the same private key. And this, I don't think you have to specify, because you can make some changes and such with it, but we are using the sudo privilege escalation method, and we are becoming root when we do privilege escalation with this. All right, now we can start making some stuff. So I'm going to make a project that's going to connect to the repository that I've made for testing out tags. So we'll call it tag project. And the source control type is going to be Git. And I need to get the URL. So let me go into GitLab. Tag test is the repo I'm using. I've already pushed a couple of things up to here. We use the SSH URL. So this is how we're going to authenticate to it. And the source credential we're going to use is the one we created. By default, it'll grab the main branch, so we don't have to specify that. And it'll take a few seconds or so to do its first sync. And this should work without a problem. And this source control revision is going to be the beginning of the hash for whatever the last commit is for the branch that you're using. Now we are going to have an inventory, and we're going to call it tag inventory. And after you create it, then you can add some, you can either manually add hosts. I'm going to try to do this as a source, and what I'm wanting to do is use my project. So we'll say tag project inventory. I'm going to see if this works. I know this is kind of outside the scope. I know that that actually does exist. Inventory hosts. I think this is all that I need. And this will tell it to sync. This hopefully should work. Actually, I haven't tested this, so we're testing it live. It's the I guess infamous Bill O'Reilly video, right? Go back to my tag inventory. And there are all my hosts that are in the inventory file that I have up in Git. All right, we're not ready to quite make templates yet because we need to write our playbook that we're going to use. Go ahead and bring the objectives back up as well. So the actual objective we're going to be working with is run selected tasks. And the way you can run some tasks and not others from your playbook is primarily using tags. I believe with the playbook command, you can specify start at for the name of, or give the name of a task and start at for that. But I am fairly sure this is talking about using tags. So let's go to our command line and let's make us a playbook. We'll just call it tag test.yml and we'll name it testing some tags and run this against all. We're just going to use the debug module for all these kind of things. So this is going to be first task. It's built in, I spell that correctly, built in debug. Now I wanted to start getting the habit of doing the indentation for tasks like I do other lists. All right, and message first task is done. All right, and we aren't going to put any tags just yet. What I want to do, make 5 of these. Probably, I could probably use CW for that. Change word. Those of you out there that are VI masters probably know of a better way of doing this. By all means, put that in the comments. I'm sure other people would want to know as well. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. I'll do my 3 dots to have my YAML right. All right, so that should be what we want. I'm not using a separate branch. Normally you would, and then you would push it up and do a merge request. I'm just going to commit this and push it right up to main. Okay, so let's go back to the Ansible automation platform. We'll need to sync the project again because I've made a change and I've pushed a change up to the repository. I think you can set sync schedules and such as well. We see the revision has changed because of the hash for that. All right, so we're going to make a job template. We're going to call it testing or tag test. It's going to be a run. The inventory we're going to use is the tag inventory. We are going to do the tag project. Not going to specify execution environment yet. And the playbook that it has found from that project is tag test.yml. The credentials we are going to authenticate with will be tag machine. This will be where we specify our tags we want. You can do, I think in the last video I used limit. We're not going to do that for this one. And we can turn on privilege escalation if we need, if that's not already done in the playbook. Then we'll click save. All of our stuff is here. Let's launch it, and hopefully this will work. All right, first task, second task. I imagine there's probably more to it. Might just be a scrolling issue. So I have my resolution a little bit larger than my actual laptop window. Yeah, scroll here. We can do that. But either way, it was successful. If it had issues connecting to any of the hosts, then it would have shown that. There we go. That's all of the output. So that was successful. Yay. Now, if I wanted, we can use a tag to dictate when you want a task to occur. And that's kind of same general Ansible knowledge that you would probably have coming into preparing for this exam. So let's go back into our playbook. There's an implicit tag of all that if you were to, Ansible playbook all, or in this case, you're not specifying a tag, it's going to run everything. So we're going to add a couple of tags here. I'm going to tag this. Oh, tags needs to be tags plural. Use odd. Now I could just do tags colon odd, but if you do multiple tags, you'll have to do it in this way. So let me see if I can just yank this here and oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm doing on this one. There we go. Now we'll do a tag of even. I put that in the wrong place. There's some folks that like to do the tags and such, all that, like have the last thing in your task be the module. I can see some value in that. I don't do that, but that's mainly just out of habit. When I first learned to do these, to do stuff with Ansible, I would do all of that afterward. Okay, so that should do what I want. And we can put it to the test real quick. This is going to do everything, obviously. And then I can specify tags odd. And it should just do, yeah, the fifth task, the third task, and the first task. So we can commit this, git commit, or git add everything. I always do a git status after that just to make sure I'm committing what I intend to. Go back to the automation controller, resync the project, go back to our job templates, and rather than make a new one, we'll just edit the current one. So we're going to specify the odd. Actually, I haven't tried this before, so let's see what happens. Job tags odd. Let's see if this does what I want. And limit, this time we'll just do it against AP node 1. That way it doesn't take as long and it'll be easier to see the output. Okay, so scroll this down, save, let's launch it, and let's see what happens. So it should just run against that one host, and it looks like it did what we wanted. Ran the first, third, fifth task. Yep, that is what we wanted. So there you go, using tags. In addition to the always tag, you have something called the never tag. And I have found that useful in situations where, let's say I have a playbook that has tasks that install an application of some kind, and not just, DNF install whatever, but there's some application like, let's say you're installing Foreman and Catello. There's a whole script and such that runs with that. And you have some tasks that are for install and some tasks that are for updating, but you would never run them at the same time. Something you can do for that. Let's see. What would be a way to demonstrate that? Well, I can demonstrate never. I was just trying to think of kind of a real world when you would do this. So for the fifth task, I'm going to add the tag of never. We'll do this just at the command line. I guess I could be really cool and use Ansible. Can I use Ansible Navigator for this? I know I haven't configured anything for it. We'll try it. Ansible Navigator. Send this to standard out. Run, tag, test. I think I can do -- limit. Okay, I think this is what I want. No, it's going to complain about execution environments because I would need to authenticate to registry.redhat.io, and I'm not interested in doing that yet. So we'll just use good old Ansible Playbook for right now. Tag test, limit AP node 1 ejslab.com. And notice that it did not run the fifth task. Now, if I specify tags odd, then it will run the fifth task, because basically that never says unless some other tag is applied, then you are going to only run if your tag is specified. So let me go back into our tag test, and what we're going to do is give the first task a tag of always. Now, if I just run this without any tags, we're not going to see anything real special other than the fact that the fifth task doesn't run because it's tagged as never. But if I were to do tags even, not event, even, we should see the first task also run because it was tagged as always. And so even though I did not specify, I specified the even tag, since the first task has always, it's going to run. You can also do tags never, and it should run. Yeah, so it's run the 5th task. It ran the first task because of always. And see what happens when we just do always. You can also specify multiple tags. I'm just doing single tags for the fun of it. All right, and so explicitly saying always, just the first task runs because that's the only thing that has always. So I think for what we need to do for picking and choosing which tasks to run when with a playbook, I think this pretty much covers it. So I'm going to consider this a pass for myself. So as always, if you enjoyed the video or found it useful, make sure you do click like. I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can know when new content is available. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I will see you the next time.